Welcome, I'm Lizzie Brooks and this is Lizzie Brooks Yoga and Fitness. Thank you so much for showing up today. Today's awesome class is Flow to Crow. So whether or not you do crow regularly or you're learning today, this is for you. We'll have options to modify a little lower, options to modify a little up, a little more challenge, something for everyone. Thanks so much. Join me on your mat. Okay, so feel free to prop yourself up, just do a little bit of warming up here to get our body prepped. Feel free to put something under the hips, a blanket or a towel. Take a deep breath in through the nose and just a big sigh out through the mouth. Ooh, that feels good. Let's do that again. Inhale and sigh it out. We're gonna bring some space into the side body. So take the left fingertips down, reach the right arm up, and any amount of lateral. So that lower elbow can bend or not. And then up through center, lift both arms. Exhale, take it to the other side. Continue with that movement. Inhale up, exhale, reaching. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, reaching. We're gonna add a little twist here, get into the trunk and the spine a little differently. So as you take it to the side, then just start to rotate the torso a little down. So we'll move this stretch into a little bit more of that side lumbar. Then take it back to lateral, up and over. And then with your lateral, turn that into a bit of a twist. Lateral, up and over. One more each side. Lateral, slight twist, lateral, and last time, side, rotate, side, and this time take both arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. So we're seated, but the arms are up, and then reach and elongate, sitting bones down, fingertips up, not hiking the shoulder blades up, but also not pushing them down to the point of stressing out through the side body. So pretty neutral there. And just take your gaze a little left to right. You can close your eyes or keep the eyes open. Getting some more space through the shoulders, the neck, the thoracic body. Take the gaze forward, interlace the hands, press the palms away. Keep doing that as you take the hands forward and even diagonally down. Make yourself rounded in the spine, tuck the tail, drape the head, and then open that area behind the heart and add whatever little shimmy feels good, like you're delaminating underneath the shoulder blades here. Use your breath with that. Inhale, come all the way up, and exhale, slowly float your arms or your wings. Although in crow, they're not really like wings, are they? They're more like your legs. Let's not get into the anatomy of crows. Shake it out. Come to all fours, please. And here's where I like to use my blanket or some sort of padding under the knees because my knees are a little bit tender. So if that's you, do that too. Take your hands beneath your shoulders. Your fingers are spread gently wide, but you don't want to stress the hand by overreaching. And round the spine again, like we did in seated, press into the floor. So there's a closed chain, the knees and the hands are down, and you're gonna use what you're pressing into to help you open that back body. Draw your organs towards your spine. We're gonna scoop the organs towards the spine. This will be useful later in those crow poses. And now slower maybe than you want to go, so you're really informed and you're not rushing. Lift the heart and the hips any amount to where it feels nice. And then one more time, drape the head, drape the tail, open the back body, scoop the organs back. You might use an exhale there. And then an inhale to slowly bring yourself back into the reverse of that back bend, which is also a back bend, and come to neutral. So draw your organs like a shelf towards the spine. Extend your right leg back behind you. Press through the right heel and keep that stability through that center. Breathe here and maybe reach your left arm forward. Only reach the left arm forward if the balance is feeling like it's there. Inhale here. Exhale, maybe elbow to knee or even crossing. Inhale, extension. Exhale to round in. Inhale, extension. Exhale, round in. This time we're gonna hold and lift towards us even more. So even lift your right ankle closer in. 3, 2, 1. Slowly let the hand and the knee come down at the same moment. That will take a little more focus. Inhale here. Tuck your toes. Exhale to your first downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Oh my goodness. So I've been working out quite a lot, and my calves and my quads are, whoa, they're a little different today, so I'm gonna have to treat them differently through this practice. That's what we learn in yoga. Every day we're gonna feel a little different, we're gonna need different things. So slowly lower your knees back to all fours. I wanna get off the wrists for a moment, so shift your hips back into whatever form of child's pose feels good, whether the knees are together or separated. Put the forearms down and just roll the wrists around. Obviously, you'll lift your forearms a bit to do that. And then shake them out. Turn the palms up, go to full extension with the hand. That's the inhale. And as you exhale, let the fingertips come to the thumbs. Inhale, open, little meditation, little focus. And exhale, fingertips to thumb. And from here, we'll go back into that gently opened hand, organs towards spine. Left leg gets its chance now to reach back. Heel is reaching back, and it's like you're putting a stamp of your foot on the wall behind you. Breathing here. You can stay here or right arm reaches. Again, you can stay here or inhale for the reach. Exhale, draw in. Inhale for the extension. Exhale, round. Maybe elbows or knee touch, maybe they cross. Inhale, extension. This one will round in and then lift up closer towards us. So this is helping train some of the musculature we'll use when we do our crow pose. And then slowly, same moment, hand and knees come down. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Opportunity for the neck to release. So especially when we're working through balance and through our core, sometimes our neck overworks. Let's let that go. Move the jaw. Step your left foot just a little closer in to the midline and extend your right leg up. Now from here, start to draw a circle with your right leg. And this could be small or big, but let's not make it fast. Whatever we do, not fast. And then reverse that rotation. Getting into that joint, we're in a bit of an inversion, and we're actually informing the stretch of the left leg as well as we open this right hip and strengthen. And then stack your right hip on top of the left if that feels okay. Bend the top knee, then press through the top ankle and do maybe little presses with that bent knee over to the left side. If that bothers your knee, don't do the presses, please. 3, 2, 1. Reach that leg up, lower down. Then come into your first plank pose. We're gonna hold this plank pose and we're gonna do a little bit of a rounded plank. So inhale in your regular plank, exhale, round tailbone to forehead. Inhale, classic plank without dropping the pelvis down. Exhale, round, press the floor away. Inhale, regular plank. Exhale, round, taking the shoulder blades more to the side body. And then neutral, lower the knees, come back into that child's pose, forearms come down, and let's give the wrists some love. Thank you, wrists. So in yoga, we often make these wrists, which aren't really stability joints, like we weren't created to walk on our hands all the time. We use them a lot for balance and stability, so thank you. All right, shake that out. And from your all fours position, check in with the jaw, check in with that neck. Downward facing dog. Walk the right foot a little bit, it's like an inch over to the left. Let the left leg rise up. And then start your circling. I would always start with something smaller than even you might graduate to. You might graduate to something larger, but start smaller. Reverse rotations. You can play with pointing through the ball joints or pointing through the heel. How does that feel? Through the hamstrings and the hip. And then we'll stack the left hip on top of the right and bend. Now, you might stay right here, or you might add your little presses, and all that does is it's going to amplify the work of the glutes and the hamstrings while also simultaneously opening through the hip flexors at that front of the hip. 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower the left leg down. We'll come into plank or even knees down plank. Remember, you can always do that, and you can actually always come up to the knuckles here so the wrist is straight rather than an L shape here. Inhale, exhale, round. Inhale, regular plank or knees down plank. Exhale, round in. Inhale. Last one, round, 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 round. Now keep your round and take your right knee towards your right forehead. Put it back, keep the rounding. Left knee to left forehead to your forehead. And down, lower the knees. Child's pose, roll it out. This is anatomy lesson, everybody. Anatomy 101. This is your right forehead. And then this is your left forehead. Shake the wrists out. Speaking of the wrists, take the fingertips, point them back towards your knees, and let's open the underside of the forearms. Anytime we carry anything, we're really contracting here, really working those forearms. And since we're on the forearms a lot, let's open them up. If you're feeling enough of a stretch with the shoulders over the wrists, you're in a great place. Stay there and breathe. If you need more of a stretch because you're not quite feeling it, you can tuck your toes and shift your hips back. You can even lift the heels of the hands up, and that will give you a different feeling. Slowly roll off, shake those wrists out, and we'll move our blanket or towel, whatever you're using, over to the side. Downward facing dog, please. Deep breath in here. Sigh out. So we'll get a little bit into the hips differently as we're going to use the hips. So I want you to actually stay in your down dog, turn your heels in about 30, 45 degrees here. Make sure that your knees and toes are pointing in the same direction. And then walk your hands back or fingertips back until you're in your squat or your malasana pose. This is a great place for props to be used. So you can sit down on a block, even a chair. You can put a blanket under your heels if your heels are lifting and it's harder for you to balance with them down on the ground. So we'll go active and passive here. Fingertips can always stay down if that's better for you. Inhale, activate and lengthen. Exhale, round and soften. Inhale, press even the outer edges of your feet down. Activate, come out of the shell like you're a turtle, lengthening its neck out of the shell. Exhale, round. One more time, inhale, lengthen. Opening, getting those paraspinal muscles nice and strong and opening the hips. And exhale, round. Now, just a little prep. We're just going to make like a little bit of an X shape with the upper arm or wherever you can get to right in front of the knee. So we're going to turn the toes just slightly more forward and just press the upper arms into the upper shins. Pressing, release, pressing, release. One more time. Oh, does this look like something? A little bit like a crow? And release. Let's go into a fold. My tricks are very obvious here. Take your feet wider than hips distance and let's take a sway side to side. Release what can release. Visit over on one leg, hang out there, opening those hamstrings and just breathing. And over to the other leg, a little more emphasis to the stretch there. Full breaths. From here, come to center. We'll walk forward into a plank, and then we're going to lower down into a forearm plank. So take the feet, whatever distance apart feels right to you, and then one forearm and then the other down. Remember, knees can come down at any point here. Breathing. Spread the fingers again gently wide. Shoulders are roughly over the elbows. And we're going to do what we did before, really working the core and even the lats. Inhale. Exhale. Round your spine more. Drape the head and the tail. Come to neutral. Don't drop the pelvis. That's not neutral. Exhale. Round in. Working even the side body. And neutral. Last one, stay with it, you got it. Round, 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 and neutral, child's pose. Let's take the knees a little wider than the hips, or even a lot wider if that feels good, and take a full stretch forward and open and lengthen now where we just kind of worked. Give your hips a little sway side to side. Now pause your hips and walk your arms over to the left and drag your right hip back more. Breathe through the right side body as if more breath is going into that right lung. Come back through center and walk over to the left, even off of your mat. Reach the left sitting bone back and breathe as if more breath is going into the left lung. You got your right lung, your left lung, your right forehead, and your left forehead. And come back to center. Rising up to all fours, tuck your toes, exhale, downward facing dog. Walk your fingertips back, but this time not into the malasana, not into the hip opener malasana, but into a fold. And create the feet, about sitting bone distance apart. Bend the knees, hinge at the hips. Take the thighs roughly parallel or even with the hips a little higher. And now reach your arms back. Roll the shoulder blades onto your back. So we're opening the heart here and really getting into the triceps. Lengthen through the fingertips, and we'll add a few little presses of the arms up and back. Keep the low belly lifting gently now off of the thighs. So if you're kind of hanging out on the thighs, let's lift up through the torso a little bit more and engage right above the pubic bone. Get into that musculature. 3, 2, 1, and then let the arms come down, forward, and up. Come to stand. Exhale, elbows draw back, open the chest. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend the knees, reach the arms all the way back. Inhale, coming slowly to stand, arms forward and up. Exhale, elbows draw back. One more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend the knees, chest forward, arms eventually back. Inhale, all the way, sweeping up. And exhale, open your heart. Inhale here. And exhale, shake off whatever clutter you're holding on to. Check in with the neck and the jaw. Snap, crackle, pop, always happening here. And then take your feet wider than the hips. So I don't want you to go so wide that you don't feel like you're structurally sound, but wide enough that this is not how you would just like stand at the grocery store unless you're like a superhero, which you might be. I just happen not to be. So take your feet wide. And we'll draw some circles, hands on the hips. Again, like we did with the legs, you can start smaller and grow bigger if you want. We'll go in both directions. I really like what we're about to do, this flow that's coming into the hips, just to lubricate things, use our brain, create some new neural pathways. It's also fun and effective. So all the things, shake out the arms. Okay, so from here, I'm going to ask that you bend into your left knee and take your fingertips down to the floor, okay? So the other leg is straight, bend, fingertips to the floor. We're going to be taking this leg out to the side. Now, if lifting it so much to the side is too much, then you can do a baby lift or skip that part. Fingertips down, transfer your weight into the left leg and lift any amount to the side, that right leg. Now bend that knee, drop the knee down towards the floor, and now press the toes up for your standing split. Breathing here. It can be more of a warrior 3, the leg can go straight behind you, or up. Bend the knee again, point it towards the floor, but this time cross that top leg back behind you diagonally, reach through the toes and reach through the heel, and then take your right hand down and your left arm up for your twist, opening into those glutes a lot. You can put the palm down if that's better. Roll the shoulders back and breathe. We'll have a chance to do this again So if it didn't make sense, don't worry, we're gonna come out of it the way we came in. Put your fingertips down, shift your weight into that standing leg, your front leg. Bend the knee down like you're almost about to do a standing split, and now press and do standing split or warrior three. Bend that top knee again. Take it out to the side, any amount. Bend your standing leg, land the other foot, and whoosh, shift over. I bet you know what we're about to do. So now we have a little bit of an idea. Now let's create it in the body. Fingertips down, shift your weight over into the bent knee leg. Lift the other leg out to the side any amount. This is so good for our hips, so strengthening. Bend the knee, point the knee towards the floor first. Now extend that leg up. Standing split or warrior three if the leg goes straight back rather than up. Bend the top knee. Cross the leg diagonally behind you, tuck the toes, reach through the heel. Your left arm is down, your right arm is up for the twist. And of course you can put that top arm on the hip. You know you always have these options. Shoulders back, breathing here, and whoo, that's a really juicy one for opening into the glutes. Inhale here, exhale, fingertips down. Make sure you're really anchored in that front foot. Bend down, back knee points down. Then that leg presses up or to the side, whether it's a standing split or your warrior three. Bend the knee again. Take the leg out to the side, extend it any amount. Bend the standing leg, land the other foot, and we'll just come right into the center of both feet now. Inhale, rise halfway up. And exhale, fold. Swish and sway, release any clutter of overthinking. That was probably a different set of movements than you've put together before. I don't think I've ever done that exact sequence before, so it should feel a little weird. Weird isn't necessarily bad. Bring your hands to your waist, bend your knees any amount, and inhale, slowly come up, especially if you have low blood pressure. Coming up slowly is very helpful so you don't get dizzy. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Inhale here. Exhale, interlace your fingers. This time, bend your knees, you're rounding. When we were seated at the beginning, we did this on the floor. We're gonna do it standing now. Bend the knees, round your back, hug your organs towards your spine, and any amount of shimmying or opening the side body and the back. Then follow that with an inhale all the way up, reach, and exhale, float the arms down, roll the shoulders. We just wanna make sure that we get into the shoulders a little bit more. So take your arms out to the side. Cross one arm, doesn't matter, over, and put palm on palm. Then drag your fingers across the arm, the clavicle, and open back up. Other side, cross, land, and drag the fingers all the way through the clavicle and back. Turn the palms up. Let's take the wrists a little bit lower than the shoulders and then press the thumbs back as we lift the sternum but not the chin. So lift the sternum but keep the neck pretty neutral. Inhale. Exhale, float the arms down, roll the shoulders. And then for the shoulder girdle, take the elbows, make L shapes with the arms right here, and take one hand over the other as they might cross, out to the side any amount. So you're trying to rotate the thumbs out. Don't go crazy here, it's not gonna go too far. Exhale, other arm on top, and out to the side. One more time each side, crossing. This is not something, we normally don't like hand someone something, oh here it is, but it's really good to do this range of movement, and out to the side. Now reach the arms straight out all the way up, and bring your hands back to your heart. Deep breath in, and shake off all the clutter. Come on to the top of your mat, whatever you deem is the top of your mat, and shift your weight over into one foot. So obviously, crow and crane are balancing postures, and we're gonna work a little bit here with some of the work that we'll do as we've been prepping. So I'm gonna shift my weight into my left foot, then my right knee. Interlace in front or behind that knee. In front might make this a little easier because I'm gonna ask you to actually round in. It's gonna feel very awkward in this pose to not be straight up. Round in and hug that knee in. Shoulder blades can roll back or even come to the sides. You can actually play with what you want to work there in the side body or the back. And then stand up nice and tall and place the foot down. March it out a little bit. Other side, take your time. Other knee comes up. And then if you can, add some rounding, round in. This is like when we were doing our plank, our hanging knee to nose plank, round in. Shoulder blades can move around. You can play with where you're getting the strength or the stretch. Come up to stand nice and tall and place the foot down. March that out. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale with any amount of bend in your knees for the fold. Inhale for your half rising up, full breath in. Exhale, fold. Take it back into plank pose. Inhale here, use what we did earlier. Exhale, round deeply. Inhale, regular plank. Exhale, lower all the way down to the belly. Roll your shoulders back, tops of your feet to the floor. Elbows draw back, little baby cobra, paraspinal muscles nice and fired up. Exhale, release it down. Tuck your toes. We're gonna use a very strong transition for the core. So tuck your toes, dig your knees down into the floor. Your knees stay down on this one. Draw your organs actively towards your spine and then lift your pelvis up just a little bit as you continue to do that. Keep your elbows drawing in and back and press to all fours. Great for upper body strength, great for core strength. And a much deserved child's pose. Pose, roll it out. I hope you guys weren't looking for professionalism today. It's just not happening. All right, give yourself a shake out. Take one side of your head to one shoulder and back, the other side to the other shoulder and back, and then whatever else feels good. So for me, I kind of want to circle around. Whenever we're doing that, again, that core work or balance, sometimes we hold the stress in the neck and the jaw. We'll let that go. Now from here, we're going to come back onto our forearms. More shoulder strengthening, more core strengthening, which is also needed for our crow and crane because we've been doing a little more opening. So come to your forearms. Remember your knees can stay down for this, so you can actually take your knees behind the hips and scoop and round here and just stay and don't lift the knees. Or if you're in that full forearm plank with the knees up, this time one knee draws in and back, other knee draws in and back. This time, one knee draws in, round, lift even the ankle towards its own sitting bone, and back. Last one, left knee draws in, round, lift the ankle even towards the sitting bone. Straighten up and back, and child's pose. So why do I bring up this bringing the ankle towards the sitting bone? Sometimes I see people, and they bring it in, and they're like, yep, I'm really using my core and this is hard work, which it is. But if you can actually bring more of the back body into work and round in more, there's more clearance underneath you to lift, so you're further away from the floor and you're actually utilizing more of that deep core musculature, which comes in handy for crow and crane. I'm going to take us through a vinyasa, and you can choose how you'd like to do that, and then we'll start moving into these postures. All right, downward facing dog with a deep breath in. Take a big loud sigh out. Look to the top of the mat and take your feet there. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold. Again, you can bend your knees. Rise up how it feels good for you to rise up. Take care of that low back. And exhale, hands through to your heart center. Deep breath in and shake that out. Inhale, reach. Exhale, right knee in, hands to heart. Inhale, hands up, right knee down. Exhale, left knee in, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up, left foot down. Inhale wide with the arms, lift the heart, baby cobra in the upper back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half or Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold. Step or hop back and take the vinyasa of your choosing. If you'd rather just use some of the prep things we did, the prep core stuff, rounding in planks or forearm planks, feel free to do that. We'll join in our downward facing dog. Turn your heels in and your toes out. Press your heart through your upper arms more than you're used to in a downward dog, and sway your hips a little side to side. So heels are in, toes are out, the heels are not touching. They're maybe about a foot apart, maybe 10 inches, little side to side here. Just like we did before, but this time starting with the feet as they are, we'll come into our malasana. Whatever props you need, have those available. Now, you can go right into your crow or crane now if you're used to doing it. And you can kind of fast forward through this if you like as well, or you can hold the pose the whole time. If you're a little newer to it, talk you through it. Your hands are a little wider than shoulder distance apart. The fingers are spread, again, gently wide. There's a big lift of the heels, and then also I take my toes, my ball joints closer together, my heels lifted very high. Now remember when we made that X shape, we're not straight arm and shin like this. We're making a little X shape, which is easier to balance on. Once I have an X shape as high up on that left leg as I can, I'll make that as high up on the right leg as I can, which is right where the shin and knee kind of meet. And then from here, there's a weight distribution technique. Putting a blanket in front of you can help. If you have any fear, make sure your hands are not on the blanket. Lift and then shift yourself forward more. Draw that deep core musculature back in the way that we did in our rounding planks. And see now if you can take your heels closer into your sitting bones like we practiced. Your elbows might be bent for more crow or a little more straight for more crane. My head and my pelvis are both heavy, so they help to balance. If I lift my head too much, it's going to make me fall backwards. If I drop my head too much, it'll probably make me fall forwards, okay? So that weight distribution between the shoulders and the head and the pelvis, you can play with that a lot. If this is newer to you, everybody come down and give yourself a shake out of the legs. If this is newer to you, or arm balances in general are newer to you, I think one of my most underutilized videos are, I think it's like demystifying or uncovering arm balances. Please look up in the videos section, uncovering arm balances, because it is so helpful if you're newer to it, or to give you some tricks if you just want to get a little bit better. The blanket being in front of you can be very, very helpful as well if you feel like you're going to fall. Now, we just worked on that. And we're gonna take you right into the forearms. We're very nice and warm here, and I wanna keep this momentum going. For those of you who want to do the forearm baby crow with me, feel free to watch and then go back and do it with me, or do it with me now. So, forearms are gonna come down. You're roughly making that L shape again with those forearms, and the wrists are about shoulder distance apart. Again, you're going to lift your heels and your hips high and walk close, close, close in. I'm gonna start to scoot my elbows and forearms back until I can, and I'll drop my hips a little bit as I begin, but my heels are still lifted, and now my heels are touching. I'm gonna make that X shape as close in, like I'm trying to fit puzzle pieces together. Don't skip the setup. To the upper shin and knee, I'm a little bit lower than classic crow or crane. And now is the big one. I'm gonna almost make a sandwich where my shoulder and my wrist come close together, but they're not gonna touch. It's a very small lift. It's a weight change. I'm going to move my weight forward, and then I'm going to point my toes backwards in order to get that clearance to lift here. Hug my deep core lines back and hover. Again, it's a little bitty lift off the floor. It's almost like imperceptible, but you kind of have to point your toes behind you in order to get that. And that is that forearm or baby crow, which doesn't feel so baby. Shake everything out, come to a comfortable seated position, and I invite you to use that blanket underneath your hips again. So that is why we did all that shoulder opening and strengthening work, because it comes into play here. Sometimes when you take flowing to crow classes, it's just core, 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 but there's a lot of stuff going on in the upper body. So sit up nice and tall, a deep breath in, sigh that out. So whether or not that went super well, these are things that we work on over time. These aren't things that just all of a sudden, whoa, I can totally do all the arm balances. Check out that Uncovering Arm Balances video. Reach your arms now out to the side. Like we did before, wrists are a little bit lower than the shoulders. Plug the thumbs back, lift the heart. Inhale. Exhale, cross one arm over the other and round in. Drape the head. Inhale, bloom open and reach, thumbs back. Exhale, other arm on top and round in. Inhale, bloom out. And exhale, float the arms down. Roll the shoulders a few times. Neck gets a little bit of a nice stretch, however that feels good to you. Maybe you're turning that gaze left to right again. Now we'll come down onto the back and really take care of our hips. So move your blanket to the side, come on down, hug the knees in, gently rock side to side. Bring the left sole of the foot down, that left knee is bent. Interlace the fingers behind the right leg and just extend and release. Extend and release. Now, if you're a little more open, you can do this on the calf or on the foot or with a strap. We're just doing extension, bend, and our extension doesn't have to be a full extension, it's just more than the other one. So bend and lengthen. And then find a lengthened position that feels good. It doesn't mean the knee has to be totally straight. Breathe here. If it feels great to extend the other leg onto the floor, you can, but it's not a must. So as I was mentioning earlier, I'm so tight. I feel like I've never done yoga in my life. So I'm not going to push it any more than this. Breathe in, sigh out, and bend that top knee. Cross it over the body. If the other knee is bent, you can actually bend both knees and take your twist, or you can keep one leg extended and twist to the other side. Pay attention to that other arm, palm faces up. Maybe the arm goes to the side, maybe back, but breathe open through the pectoral muscles, which actually we're doing some work for us today. Enjoy that twist, enjoy this time. Unwind from there, and we'll go to the other side. So right foot is down, right knee bent, and we'll interlace our fingers wherever is appropriate on the back of our leg, and extend more and bend more. Extend more and bend more. Wherever that feels good. We're not going too fast, like it's not, not doing the shaky leg. We're just extending maybe for a second and bending for a second. Come into the stretch that feels good. Choose whether or not that lower leg, if it actually enhances the pose for the better, then of course you can stretch it, but it's not necessary. Breathing here. Whew. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Whenever I do a lot of weights, I can feel those. I love incorporating weights into my workouts, and I have lots of videos for that too if you're curious. Okay, bend that top leg. Both knees can be bent or just the top one as you cross the midline and take your twist, paying attention to the shoulder and the pecs of the opposite side, breathing here. I always like to make sure that I don't have my chin jutting up like this, so I always lift up my head and elongate the back of the neck. If it's just kind of what's going on in the body, or maybe there's a curvature in the thoracic spine that makes this do this, but you can put a blanket under the head. Deep breath in, sigh that out, and come back through midline. Give yourself a hug. You stuck with it. If you're still here, I am sending you 1,000 good karma points and cookies. No, I'm kidding. I don't know who you are or where you live, so I'm not going to send you cookies. But you've earned some, and I don't own the good karma points either. But if I could give them away, you'd get them. All right, little back and forth with the knees. Feet are about as wide as the mat. Back and forth. Once again, kind of opening through the front of the hips, so getting those hip flexors that nicely lifted and condensed for you today in those crow poses. And then bring yourself into your Shavasana. Arms where you want them. Maybe they're up, maybe to the sides, maybe on the belly or the heart. And sigh. Please do stay here as long as you possibly can to complement all of your hard work and to allow yourself a little bit of softness even through the mind. So just let yourself drift and go maybe 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. That's proven 5 to 5.5 seconds of inhale and exhale over time. It's just a wonderful ratio to bring your body into harmony. The breath is so powerful. So please give yourself this time. Give yourself a pat on the back for me. Thank you so much for being here. If you liked this video, please hit like. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave me a comment. I get back to everybody. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste, everybody.